All right. Good morning. Good day. 6th of Iyar. Hayom Yom. Yeah. Hayom Yom. Words to live by. All right. Well, our sages taught one should not take leave of his friend other than with a parting word of Torah, the Devar Torah. Our forefathers, the saintly Rebbes, explain. The parting word should be the kind of Torah teaching that transforms the listener into a mehalech. Mehalech means to go, one who goes, one who can go forward, one who can make progress. Hiluch, progress, hiluch. What is progress? Going means to rise from level to level with one ascent after another. Such as doesn't just mean walking a straight line, it means getting somewhere, going somewhere, ascending. Such progression embodies the superiority of the human soul over the angels. You know, the angels are called oimdim. Oimdim means to stand. They stand in one place. They don't progress from level to level. They're given a mission, and that's what they do. They don't improvise, and they don't grow. They are what they have been created to be. We are much more than what we are initially created to be because we're created with a power to be a mahala, to progress. The angels, so that's the power we have over the angels. For this ascent is greater. And how do we progress? Through acts of goodness, extending a favor to another. You might think it would be by learning, right? Well, the whole learning is for the sake of doing, right? So extension, how we grow is by extending ourselves outward in relationships with others and with the world, extending a favor to another, a material favor in general, and a spiritual favor in particular, bringing someone and helping someone to rise to a deeper level of consciousness. Mahalach. Okay. Tanya, back. Tanya. Lessons in Tanya. Excuse me. Bottom of page 664 in Lessons in Tanya. And classical Likuti Amorim, we are on page Samach Daled. Kind of a little bit above in the middle of the page, the line begins, B'Shem Avis Oilam. So the last thing we said, the Alter Rebbe said, told us, that the two levels of natural love, the love analogous to the love of the body for the soul, the body naturally has a draw to be alive, not to be dead. And the soul is the source of the life. That's number one. And number two, the love of a child to a parent, also an essential love. These loves are embedded deeply into our structure. And he said that they also, in that respect, because they're so deeply down, they also reach deeply up and have a connection with the Ava B'Tainugim, which is the light from above. And I explained that outside of the Tanya in the concept that's brought in Chassidus of Oimek Rom. There are two kinds of depths. Oimek means depth. Oimek Rom, which is a depth of way up there, deeply into the deep consciousness of Hashem. And Olam Tochas, and then the bottom down here below, the deeps down here below, when you drill down, down, down. And utilizing the concept in Sefer Yetzirah that the end is wedged in the beginning and the beginning in the end. So these two things, though there's a distance in between, they're both very deep. And in that sense, they come from the depths. Okay, that's where we were yesterday. So yes, these loves, the love of a child to a parent, the love of the body to the soul are extremely deep. Rak, nevertheless, Afal Pikain, nevertheless, Sorach litreach besichle. One has to, the Lessons in Tanya translates it strain. When you matriach somebody, you bother somebody. You have to bother your head, strain with your mind. Nevertheless, even though these things are natural, that's not what's called for in terms of avoidance Hashem. Why do we have to work then on it? Well, we have to do a little work to discover it, but there's more to the story, which is the story that we're telling today. One has to bother in his mind, or in one's mind. Lahasig, to grasp. Ulahagia, and to reach, to touch. Gam lebechinas avos olam, also the level of avos olam. Remember, avos olam, the love that comes from contemplating the world, from yearning, from seeing the infinite, and we're yearning to be connected with it. It's also called ava kurish be'esh, the love of flaming fire. One has to cultivate the conscious yearning for closeness to Hashem, as we said above. And that conscious yearning comes from consciousness. It comes from understanding and das, hiskashrus, tying one's mind to one's heart in the greatness of Hashem. In order to grow up, gadol, make big, a blazing fire. Ha'ava, meduras eish ha'ava, a blazing fire of love. Birish be'esh, with flames of fire, shall heves ozer, strong flames, lahev ha'oila, and like a flame, like a burning ha'oila ha'shemaima, which goes up to the heaven. Ad shemayim rabim le'yeichlu lekavos. Ad shemayim is not shemayim. To such extent, this is from Shir HaShirim. Yeah, Shir HaShirim. This is a line from Shir HaShirim, that mayim rabim, the great waters, le'yochlu lekavos. Now, in the Maimorim, this is a side, but helps with this, I think. In the back of the Torah, there are Maimorim on Shir HaShirim. And one of them is based on a couple of them, or two of them at least, are based on this. Mayim rabim le'yochlu lekavos, that the great love is, the great waters are not able to extinguish the love that we have for Hashem. And one of the taichin, there are two taichin here, in this. The mayim rabim are the tirdos parnasa, all the preoccupations we have with the daily affairs should not, and we are equipped so that they do not obscure our love for God. They are not able to extinguish that innate love of God. But also, there has to be a flame of fire, which we said here today. This is more like today's taich. Ad shemayim rabim le'yochlu lekavos, that nothing gets in the way. And even the great yearning we have doesn't get in the way of the end point. Well, it's not the end point, of the deeper point of clinging to Hashem with ava b'tainugim, in a love which is no longer like a flaming fire, but as if when the thirst is quenched. But before the thirst is quenched, we're in avos olam, thirsting, longing for Hashem. And the wayim rabim, the difficulties, the obstructions, the simsum, we just break right through it, because we have a flaming fire burning in us, which burns away the chaff, burns away the dross. And it also goes on, the pasuk goes on, and the rivers will never quench the thirst, because the thirst is endless. This avos olam is endless, because God is endless. So when is the thirst so-called quench? In ava b'tainugim, as we spoke earlier. Ava b'tainugim is the gift from above, when you're one with Hashem and there's no differentiation between you and God. That's ava b'tainugim. But the path to that is wanting and yearning and just piercing through the darkness. So there's a great power in avos olam. This is his point. There's a great power in avos olam, the love that comes from tavuna, which is the brain, this part of the left part of the brain. And the Zohar says that the bina connects with the heart, and bohalev mevin, and the heart comes to understand, and the heart is warm, the heart is fire, the heart is flame, right? And so there's a great, now the other two that we spoke about earlier, the love of a son to a father, the love of the body to a soul, are natural, but they don't have the excitement, they don't have the flame. So therefore, there's an advantage, a virtue to the love which is like flaming fire, which shall have its uzza, and like a strong burning flame. which comes from understanding, and hiskashrus, knowing and tying the brain to the heart. Be understanding and das in the gedula of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the greatness of Hashem, the Infinite One. So there's a great advantage of that. Well, because it involves more of our faculties. We're really there. We're involved. We're burning with love for Hashem. That's has a greater strength. Also, great strength. Al shtei bechinas ha'ava hanal, over the other two levels of love, which we spoke about yesterday and the day before: the love of a parent to of child to the parent, and the love of the body to the soul. Those other two levels, they're not like flaming fire b'shel heves. They're not like a burning, flaming, uprising fire. There's an advantage of this burning, fiery love, like the advantage of gold over silver. Right? Silver is very nice, but gold, number one, it's more expensive per ounce than silver, which makes it dearer just in terms of money. But it also has a gleam, a shine. There's something to gold, right? We had a gold standard in America. We didn't have a silver standard in America. There's something about gold over silver. So it is an advantage of the love like flaming fire over the natural love, like the advantage of gold over silver. Meshikosa Lakamin, as will be written later in chapter 50. In addition, this inculcating and growing and inflaming and fanning the fiery flame of love that's embedded in each and every one of us is kol ha'odam. This is the entirety of a person, v'tachlisoy, and the purpose of a person's being created, which is laman das es kavod Hashem, to know, right? Das, again, hiskashrus. Remember, we talked about das, not only his three meanings. Hiskashrus, one to tie, one to recognize, to see, and to be totally bound up with. And then to laman das es kavod Hashem, to know Hashem, be according to Teferes Gudolosoi, and to see, know, live with the beauty, the glory, the beauty, and the Teferes. Oh, Midas and Teferes. I think we're still in Midas and Teferes. Yes, Midas and Teferes, and to know the glory and the beauty, the harmony, you could say, of Hashem's greatness. Ish kefi asher yochel. It's always every person according to what they're able to do and grasp and create and not create, inflame, with their each one different in a different level. Mashikosa b'Raya Mahemna is written in the Zohar, in the part called Raya Mahemna, Parshas Ba, where there the Zohar announces what we just said, what the Alter Rebbe just said, what the whole purpose of a human being is. Begin the ishmadoin le, in order to know him. That's the whole purpose of our creation. And of course, in knowing him, knowing what he wants and doing what he wants with a flaming fire. That's today's Tanya. No? Questions? Comments?
Just Kabbalistically about gold and silver, isn't it known that silver is higher than gold because it's kisufin, and gold is like the egel or something like that?
No. It's the opposite around. Kesef is connected, you're right, with Nixafov Agam Kolsa Nafshi. My soul expires, yearns. It's an excitement. But what am I yearning for? I'm yearning for something higher. Yearning implies I'm groping, and the higher state is the gold state. Now, maybe there are, like everything else, you have to know where you're holding. And everything in Torah is Elu be'elu divrei Elokim Hayim. There may be places which I'm not aware of, where the greatness of silver over gold. In other words, there is a greatness of silver over gold, which is you're striving. You're on the move. You're not an oimid. You're not standing in one place. But generally, yearning is a predecessor to landing, even though you never land because it's infinite. Right?
Well, on Taka in the Mizbeach, there's no Mizbeach HaKesef. There's only Mizbeach HaZahav.
Right. Gold is the higher. Right. Right. It proves it. That proves the point.
And continuing the metaphor, you gave two reasons why gold was more valuable. So, and the third reason is the rarity. You know, there's less gold around than there's silver, and also the yearning versus the natural.
Good. Very good. Nice. Good stuff. Anybody else? What we got here? A lot of people. All right. Any questions? Ubechein. So what? We have lots of time. I'm patient. And don't think I'm not thinking about it. I am. Well, you're thinking about it. Ubechein. So what?
Okay. Hi.
Okay.
I'd be happy to share some thoughts.
Go ahead.
Clear that it's up to us. It's the effort, and that we have the capacity made to make the effort. We're created to strive. We're created with a desire to have an aliyah, to make more of ourselves, and that this is, I said, this thing that Zekoha Adam. I mean, come on,
right?
And
no, that what can I interrupt you? What you said is to create more of ourselves. The first two loves is our natural state, right? That which is a surprise to a lot of people. That our natural state is the state of feeling like a son of God, a child of God. And the natural state is to feel connected with God, like the body to the soul. But this is a growing state. This is how we grow. This is what we can be, with the possibility. But go ahead.
Well, also, and the whole the tachlit, the purpose of creation is it's not just to sustain what is; it's to create something greater, something more. And the whole Eureka,
right.
So
therefore, can we articulate some way in which you might apply this today?
Sure. Spend more time in Torah mitzvahs. Spend more time trying to be a nicer person. So, more bring it into reality. Make the effort.
Good. Aviva?
It's very hopeful to know that this resides in me, that I have the ability, that it's there. And like the gold, it has to be mined and uncovered.
Yeah. Yep. So how will you do that? I don't want to get personal. Don't go where I'm not crying. I just want to say, what happened?
I think that that the Alter Rebbe's instruction to keep it in mind, or as someone I read said, holding it in one's mind, to contemplate these things, to remember these things. I mean, I don't really remember what I'm doing when I go from one room to the next room, but somehow this has to be remembered. I mean, it's just practice. It's practice.
That's great that you have to remember who you really are and what you're really capable of and what you've been created for. And it is a remembrance because it comes from way before Gilgulim, predecessor Gilgulim. Manucha, what? Bechein, what are you going to do today?
Oh, well, I was just thinking about the last person. Was that Aviva? Somebody who said about
Aviva.
mining the gold, and that's difficult. And I was remembering an experience of going into a mine with a class of kids, as you know, the parents that went to. Has anybody here else ever been in a mine and see what it's? Has anybody seen what it's like? It's a terrible, terrible job. You have to go way, way down, and it's dirty. And the guy was saying how his hearing has been affected and breathing affected in all these years. And it's dangerous. You know, you have to balance over here and there. So this is a bunch of, you know, Jewish yeshiva kids, like from Muncie. And so one kid says, why does anybody do this job? Like, you know, the menial nature of, you know, he couldn't get it, and probably, you know, Jews don't really do it, but it's very tough stuff.
Because there's a pot of gold. There's a pot of gold.
Yeah.
That's why we do it. Yeah.
Right.
All right. I just want to say, sort of in closing, I did put a whole week of Spiros charts into this WhatsApp. And you recall that if you want to use it, it's your own idiosyncratic way of matching with one sphera with the other. Like, for instance, today is Malchus Shabbat Tiferes, right? And there's a whole bunch of meanings of Malchus, and there's a whole bunch of meanings of Tiferes. So you have an opportunity here, as do I, to find a match between the inner circle and the outer circle, between Malchus and Tiferes. And that's another way that we can say, Ubechain, so what? How to live with it. So I'm encouraging myself to do that, and hope you guys will as well. Okay, till we meet again. Mir Tzashem. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.